You've done the right thing. You've insulated your ceiling. You've insulated your underfloor. But you're still cold. Best you finish the job. And to match your walls.
We all want our police to be better. We want them to be more professional. We want them to be there when we need them. And all of these issues are combining and colliding at the moment over the recruitment of additional police, which was part of the coalition agreement between National and New Zealand First, which was to recruit an additional 500. So that's not you just get 500 over the next 3 years. It's on top of the number of police personnel that there were on, well, Coalition Day, presumably. 500 police on top of that in terms of sworn police personnel in this country. Now, the issue, though, here has been that long before that, there were concerns starting to be expressed, I think, from all of us, wasn't there? Wasn't there a general concern that police standards of recruitment were dropping? And that maybe it was us being in personal contact with police, maybe it was just looking at their physical size, I don't know. But there was a public perception that had been running for years, probably decades in actual fact, that the police weren't the force or they weren't the personnel that we thought they were. And maybe that has been also part of media investigations, the occasional inquiry, the occasional scandal, the sensationalism of the media that contributed to that as well. But now the police, in actual fact, have officially confirmed it. An audit of police recruitment and of those who have passed through the Police College at Pororua and through basic training has suggested that they have not necessarily been trained to the same standard as previous generations, and that there are a number of police personnel out there currently who probably shouldn't be there, to be honest with you, because they lack either the personal skills, the intelligence, the acumen, or the training to be a fully functioning police officer. Well, that's led to tit for tat between Police Minister Mark Mitchell and the former Police Minister and Labour Party police spokesperson Ginny Anderson as to who is responsible for this state of affairs. Mark Mitchell has blamed the previous government, saying that he'd always said that in his view that the reduction of training from 20 to 16 weeks, and 20 weeks isn't very long really when you think about it, but from 20 to 16 weeks has had a dramatic effect, and that he changed that as soon as he became police minister, and he blames the previous government. Jenny Anderson said, well, if you want an extra 500 cops in this current conditions, what do you expect if you're going to drive that? That quantity, not quality, is the problem here, and that it's your fault. Drawn into all this is our next guest, New Zealand Police Association Police President Chris Cahill, and he joins us now. Chris, lovely to have you on. You've heard my introduction. We've talked about this before. I guess it's a bit unseemly for the politicians to scrapping them amongst themselves. You just want a solution, right?
Yeah, good morning, Michael. Yeah, look, it's right. You can blame the politicians and they can, flip back and forth and say who's at fault. But the bottom line is police have the control. Police put the standards there and should be the guardians of them. So I blame the police. Yeah, maybe they're under pressure to get these numbers by certain times. And it always frustrates me a bit when there's an arbitrary date set, which doesn't make any, relativity to how hard it is to recruit at times. But it is the police that should hold these standards. And I'm pretty grumpy about it because our members have said for a long time, we're concerned that the standard's dropping. And I've sought reassurances on multiple occasions. And every time I'm told, no, everyone going into the college meets the standard. And everyone coming out meets the standard. And now we find I'm definitely wrong on the first case. I hope I'm not wrong on the second case.
Yeah. Listen, 20 weeks to turn somebody into a professional police officer has always seemed an extraordinarily small amount of time anyhow. But when it was reduced to 16 weeks, what was the reason or rationale for that?
Yeah, it was really a money-saving scheme when it all boils down to it, to be perfectly honest. It's the length of time that they were at college costs a lot of money. Also, the need to have people on the front line. But you did right. What was identified in that was they weren't getting the level of practical training they want. So they were getting the policy stuff, the procedure stuff, but they weren't getting the practical hands-on training, especially around drivers, firearms, defensive tactics, those sorts of things. So that's what's increased with the 20 weeks, and we're very supportive of that.
So just take me through this again. And what really, I read the story, which is why I'm talking to you. And the thing that really alerted me and alarmed me was what you were saying as the president of the Police Association. And it was that the real problem was that decisions were being made at Police HQ, and that therefore your serving police officers were starting to note that the recruitments coming out serving alongside them simply weren't of sufficient standard to do their job in a professional manner. How long have you been having these reports, Chris?
Probably for the last 3 to 4 years that it's increased. And look, we've got to be careful. There's always been a case that police will say the recruits after them aren't as good as we were. And they've been saying that forever. So you take it a little bit with a grain of salt and go, yeah, okay, they're different. Because let's face it, we've got a very different generation of people joining the police. And I do want to say the vast majority are outstanding people. They're highly qualified, they're highly motivated, and they're not leaving the police once they join. But the ones that fall below that standard, they're a risk to themselves and they're a risk to other officers. And look, one of the most common problems is the English language as a second language. And that's a real challenge because we need many of these people to join us to actually reflect the changes in society and the communities that we'll be policing. But communication is your first defence. It's your most important tool as a police officer. And if people can't understand you, or you can't understand or put into writing what needs to be done, that's really problematic.
Dear Lord. I mean, that's as basic gets, isn't it, Chris? Seriously? I mean, the vast majority of people you're talking to, 90% plus, have English as their first language.
Yeah, and look, there's a great advantage when you're speaking to someone in their language that it isn't English as the first language, but you've still got to deal with the majority of the time as well.
Absolutely.
And that's very difficult. And then you have the issue of recording evidence in a way that's of a high standard. And if you're struggling with the comprehension side of that, then it creates issues when you get to court as well. So it's really important these people meet the standards before they go into college, and then it continues to improve through the training. And that's where I'm really disappointed to find that police were deliberately allowing this to occur.
But then there's the second aspect of this. I'd assume that you do your basic course at Poro. I think we're all under this impression. And then you end up sort of as a probationary police constable for a couple of years learning on the job. Is that still carry on that way?
Yeah, very much so. Policing is a role that you do learn on the job, and it's important that's that you have the people around you to help you with that learning. The challenge is when everyone's so busy and resources are so stretched, you can end up in an area where actually you're doing almost the same job the day you graduate as a 20-year veteran. Now, if you're in the car with a 20-year veteran, that's okay. But what if you're in the car with someone who graduated 6 months before you? And what if that person was one of the people that didn't actually meet the standards before they entered college? So it can be a very compounding risk.
Yeah, I mean, you're not actually increasing my confidence at the moment, I have to say at the moment. All right, so what's the answer? You want more pressure to go, presumably, ironically, from the politicians back onto Police HQ to lift standards. Is that what you're saying, or is there some other solution?
I'll probably make three. The first point I just need to re-emphasise, the vast majority of people joining the police and graduating are very high quality, and you don't need to think this is a massive, widespread problem, but it's still a problem that needs to be addressed. So the first thing is we've got to make sure anyone coming into the police college has met the standards, and there can't be any fudging, whether it's your fitness or your comprehension, your language skills, also I should say the integrity issues. You've got to make sure all those things are checked. Then you've got to make sure the training's of the appropriate standard, that when they graduate, you're very confident they've met those standards. I mean, that's the next question I ask about these people. Were they then graduated when they actually hadn't met the standard as well? So those three things have to happen.
Listen, how much is part of at its official policy? I mean, the police don't deny it, but DEI policies contributed to these problems, do you think?
You've done the right thing. You've insulated your ceiling. You've insulated your underfloor. But you're still cold. Best you finish the job. And to match your walls.